to hell and back is in the job description. Being roughed up, scuffed up, run over, kicked, thrown, dropped, dunked, and done the unthinkable is a duty we've embraced for more than 40 years. Through superior engineering and constant innovation, only Pelican has conquered the chaos a life of ambition can dish out. And we've done it to empower you.
Yak Gadget, made in America, based outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Yak Gadget offers all kinds of storage accessories, quick mount motor mounts, anchor systems, track mounted accessories, even paddles. Go to yakgadget.com and get your kayak decked out for your next trip out on the water.
The 153 Bait Company, based in Troy, Ohio, make everything from plastics to custom painted hard baits. Hook 'em hard and hook 'em often. All of our baits are made to order, and all of our hard baits are hand painted to order. So go to the153anglers.com to place your order today.
Woo! What's up, everybody? Hey, YouTube, Facebook, all the other stuff out there. Hello.
Wow.
What is up, Brian? How you doing today?
Jay Randall in the house, everybody.
What is going on, Mr. Brian?
Quit slapping the table. You're going to mess up the microphones. Jay's all fired up today.
Yeah,
Look at that.
what we talking about today, Brian? I mean, it's a great day. It's perfect outside. Rode my bike. Oh, yeah.
Jesus. You on steroids or what?
Wow, this is like whatever is like residually left over from what I just did. I'm like,
Well, Jay's finally come out of his shell, boys and girls. Welcome to another OG live show here every Thursday night, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Jay, glad to see you in the house tonight, showing up. Last week you were at home. Back in the studio, always nice to have you here.
Sir. Yes, sir.
A little less space at the table.
That's right.
But
that's right. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's all good. Jesus, man, I like it. I like this form of Jay Randall. I like it. Real quick, guys and gals, we just released the updated AOI standings for our trail series. Check that out. I believe Blake Hennigan is currently leading the race with our very own Chris Lewicka slowly behind him, and then Matt Gibson, I think, tops out the top three there.
What is up, Chris? Get your butt moving. Bring it forward.
So super cool. We got that posted up on the Facebook page if you guys are following along with the trail series. The past 2 weeks, I think it's been, we've had a lot of discussion about all the major kayak trails and things like that. So we're going to kind of roll into continuing with that. But we got our good friend, Mr. John Rapp, in the house tonight. He just started his own podcast focusing mostly on West Virginia, his area of the country there. And he had an interesting subject of like, what do you guys think it takes to be a professional angler? Who do you think would qualify for that criteria? Things like that. So we're going to roll into that after we find out about his podcast. We got any other updates? Next trail event is July 31st here on the Fox River in Illinois.
It's here.
Yeah, and I just talked to Dustin Nichols on the way to the studio here. He's talking about coming up and fishing it.
Oh, well, everyone's going to lose. So
better watch out. Better watch out.
There we go.
We got ICAST coming up, baby. Dustin will be there along with myself. So we're going to have some live shows coming to you guys from ICAST. Get ready for that. And then also that weekend, we're going to have some live shows coming from Bow Fest, a big archery festival. Our very own Brad Hurlboss, myself, possibly Mr. Randall, depending on his busy schedule.
Possibly
his busy schedule.
I do like to shoot some arrows.
Jesus. So get ready for that. The week of ICAST is going to be pretty great. We're going to walk around and get tons of video. We'll do some live shows from down there and things like that. So get ready. Let's get Mr. Rapp in the house. Mr. John Rapp, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, it's July, baby. Are you
it.
ready? Are you ready for some July 4th activity? All right, man.
I'm definitely ready, but it looks like you're way more ready than I am, my friend.
Mr. Patriot Rap.
Let me just say, I had a little bit of what Jay had a little bit ago.
Yeah. It goes a long way.
Oh wow.
Made it down here, baby. Made it down here.
I like it. I like it.
Hey guys, I'm glad y'all let me come back and play again.
Yeah, man. Welcome back to the show. If you guys missed the first show with John, you could always go back in the library on Facebook, YouTube, all the major podcast platforms and catch that. We've had John on once before. And last time you were on, you told us you were kind of looking at starting this podcast thing, and you'd reach out to us a couple times on some pointers and things like that, man. So you finally got it going. You're on episode 4 or 5 now?
Yeah, I've been doing things every Tuesday night for like you guys do. I do a weekly thing.
Sure.
And thank you, both of you guys, because you guys have been I like to have like segments, and I create, the way I've done it is I'll bring in 4 or 5 guys to do a 45-minute show and talk to somebody for 5 to 6 minutes about a certain topic. And and you guys know that because you guys have come in as sort of my national experts, or come in and give opinion on stuff on the national scene.
Sure.
And I highly appreciate everything you guys have done to help me and guide me and get me going and be a part of the show.
Yeah, man.
So I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun, man. I always like jumping on other shows, man. It puts me out of my element, Usually I'm on the interview side instead of the interviewee. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the one thing that I'm trying to do is I don't like to talk, and I don't want to talk. I want to bring people on that can tell their story, give their information. I have segments where I'll do a segment with Chris Payne from Texas.
Yeah,
Chris
is a good dude.
Yeah, man, and he always comes in, does a 7 to 10 minute a segment on a product or on an item or something that makes your life better on the water. He's got hellacious knowledge, and I'm trying to get his knowledge out there to the everyday guy. And then, of course, you guys have been on. I've had Jody Queen on, and I sort of took a little page out of your book last week and done like a panel.
Sure.
I just learned how to do that with my son doesn't watch Facebook or doesn't watch these podcasts or anything. He's a gamer. But
aren't they all?
Yeah, but he has been tremendous help, helping me get that show started. Sitting back in the background while he's playing his games, he'll answer the phone and get people helped out, getting them online and getting their videos started. Because I'm using a program called Streamlabs OBS.
Yep.
And the way I incorporate my video into it is using a program called Discord. And if the guys that are probably 25 and younger, everybody knows what Discord is. Mm-hmm. They use it with their gamer chat and all kinds of stuff. But guys like me, I didn't know anything about it until a couple of years ago when my boys were using it.
Well,
good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you're not the only one. Like I told you on your show, like I was like panicking and I had to go grab one of the kids. I was like, how do I turn on the video? Like, how do I do this? Like, I don't know what to do on here because I was already doing something that day and like I was running behind, and like one of the kids is like, here, just give it to me. He's like, okay, here's what you do. Boop, boop. I got my tutorial. I was like, cool, thanks. I'm done.
Yeah. It really is simple. But we're so used to things with apps where you can just turn the app on and go. With that, the app has a button. You go in and you go to voice. It's much easier if we do it from a laptop where you can see everything. But it's working out pretty good. The only thing that I've been doing is I've been muting myself a lot. And if I can get that out of the way, my transitions have been pretty smooth. I've got it's doing pretty good, but it's getting better, and I'll get better as time goes.
Yeah, man. I know we looked at using OBS at one point in time, and it's a very complex, kind of complicated platform to use. But once you figure it out, you could do some pretty cool stuff with it. I dig it. I dig like all the special effects and cool little stuff you're doing on your show, man. I really enjoy that. Your intro.
Yep.
Your commercial breaks and stuff like that. That's definitely super cool, and for the format you're kind of doing where you have, like you said, 4 or 5 guests and you're, talking to them for a few minutes at a time, and then you're going to the next one. Well, that like slight little commercial break is a nice offset while you're getting your next guest set up and getting ready to roll, man. It's cool. I really like the format for sure.
Well, I appreciate it. I wouldn't be able to do it without my son. And we got great sponsors. They're locals. Yak Gadget, of course, with John Thomas. Then I've got the place up top of the hill. Feel free, and then just great people. Paint Outdoors. He's working on a commercial for me to add in there.
Nice.
Wait a second. Paint Outdoors is teamed up with you? Chris?
Yeah.
We were homies from like the very beginning, dude. Where are you?
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't like you, Jay.
I know, man. Like, what's up with that, Mr. Payne?
Yeah. So I had to sweet talk him a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, he's got that big daddy sweet talk.
Yeah, he does.
That's right.
Big old grapplers.
No. It's just a sweet tooth,
Yeah, I'm sure.
Butterscotch works pretty. Works pretty good.
I like it. Well, man, you had an interesting topic, and it kind of spiraled into what we've been talking about here. And I know you were tuned in for the last show that Drew was on and things like that, and you were adding in some really good quality comments and stuff like that. And for those of you at home, as we're talking about this stuff, feel free to drop in the comments your thoughts. I don't think there's any right or wrong thoughts, so to speak, on it. But it's kind of interesting, man, because, the sport of kayak fishing is growing. It's still young. And, now that, bass is involved, Hobie's, national trail is getting really big. There's always been KBF, and, now we're at that point, I think, where guys want to take it to the next level. And, guys want to, be these, professional or full-time anglers. So let's kind of get your take on that, man. What do you think it's going to take a guy to be considered a quote unquote pro angler? And I'm not talking promotional, I'm talking professional.
Well, I personally believe that we have hundreds of semi-pros now.
Sure.
But a true professional, they need. So in our conversation, my topic is who in our state would we look up to and think that, hey, I want to be like him, because he's already, in my opinion, like a professional. He goes to tournaments, he wins tournaments, he wins money, not a little bit of money, good money. And as Chris Payne said, it's the kind of money that comes with the W-2.
Yep.
You have to fill out a whatever they're called, W-9 or whatever. But also I think it's got to be somebody who's got somebody standing behind them to support them, because you're not always going to win.
Sure.
And I believe when our Angler of the Year payouts become good, not just the tournament trail winning, But when we have an angler of the year payout that makes guys want to go to your trail, let's say we get you guys at Paddle and Fin offer in 2022 your angler of the year a $50,000 cash purse. That's become a professional trail.
Sure.
And anybody that fishes it is going to be a pro, because they're not just going to fish it one time and quit. They're going to try to stay in the race, because you're not going to have good tournaments every time. And if you can stay consistent in the top 10, where you can stay up in the money, then you're looking at that's a pro. I believe you need sponsors, and you got to be able to scratch their back too, which is what you're doing right now, Jay. I mean, and Brian, you guys have got Pelican, you've got Yak Gadget, and you go out and you run a tournament trail. You promote them, they promote you. So I guess if I summarize everything I've said, you have to be a consistent angler on the trail in the top 10. You got to be in the money, where you're on the stage and being seen. Don't have to necessarily win. You have to be able to promote. You need to make videos. You need to talk about products. I personally love Edwin Evers. I met him at the East Tennessee show. We were staying at the same hotel together, the one in February, just before COVID closed everything down. I'm standing there checking in, and he comes in. He's standing there beside me, and he's checking in. And I looked at him, and I'm like, man, I know that guy. Where do I know that guy? And he's talking, and he said his name is Edwin Evers. So I'm like, immediately starstruck. And so I looked at him. I introduced myself to him. I shook his hand. And after he got checked in, we stood there and talked about fishing for 20 minutes. He even invited me up to his room and said, come on up and we'll talk more if you want after you get checked in. Well, I didn't go, because I'm like, I'm not going to bother him. He's
sure.
But great dude, working fishing shows. And this is something Chris Payne brought up from my show Tuesday night. When you're being invited and someone's paying for your hotel room and your gas and your meals to come to a fishing show to represent them and to show your knowledge, I think you've done well. You're at that level where you can probably start considering yourself a pro fisherman.
I'm pro.
And we have those, man. Now you think about it. Do you guys know Matt Ball?
Yeah. Matt's
Ball.
a good dude.
Yeah, Matt Ball is one of those guys. He travels around a lot and promotes a lot of different products. And, of course, Jody Queen. Now, I mean, I know about those guys specifically. I can't speak about any of the other guys that are up there. But I know those guys, and I know they're the ones that, in my book, right now, if you want to look at someone as a pro in our sport, those two guys are. Now, we have another one, and I know y'all have heard of him. His name is Mark Edwards.
Yep.
Dude's smoking the local scene. He won two tournaments this past weekend on lines. He's an awesome stick. He's done well on the national scene. And then we got a guy over in Martinsburg. He became a fireman a few years ago, which has sort of put him back. He's not as fishing as much as I don't see him out there as much, because normally when he goes somewhere, he kills it. And it's Jedediah Plunkett.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen that name several times.
Well, he's old school. I mean, you go back to 14, 15, 16, he was standing on the stage. So I haven't seen much of him lately, but I was looking at his page the other day when I was talking about making my poll to say, okay, guys, who do you think are our top guys in our region? And I went and saw he'd won a tournament a couple weeks ago over at Mid-Atlantic Kayak Bass Fishing Group. But, so he's still out there. He's just not making those national runs like he did before.
So I want to bring something up and backtrack a little bit for what you were talking about, because last week when we had Drew Gregory on, he brought up the same thing, like a bigger professional trail. In real quick, Jason Favor, I saw your comment. I'm going to get to that in a second. So, Drew had mentioned, we need events where it's a $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 entry fee. I completely agree with that. If you want to play with the big boys and you want to get that kind of money, you're talking about like a $50,000 AOY payout, or a tournament where, first place is taking home, 20, 50 G's continuously.
Yeah.
If each guy's paying $1,000, you got 100 entrants, first place is going to take home roughly, 50 grand, 50 grand.
Yeah. Nice.
You know
nice
what I mean? But I think, like, as this sport, and I'm kind of going back to, 2019 and up, or even 2018 and up to present day, it seems like sometimes those bigger entry level events, like for instance, this recent Bass Nation Championship that was $400. They did have 146 guys show up for that, which I was kind of surprised. But it seemed like leading up to current day, a lot of guys, kind of complained about that higher entry fee. But at the same time, they would turn around and say, well, I want bigger payouts. Well, where's the money supposed to come from? You know what I mean? So, I mean, what do you think, if John Big Daddy Rapp was going to start the National Professional Kayak Fishing League, what would that optimal entry fee be?
Well, everything depends on the money in the background. Before I start charging you, setting money on you guys, I need to know what kind of support I got from sponsors, and if they're going to pony up prizes, or if they want to give me some cash. If
Sure.
let's say I have $50,000 already in the bank that I can say, that I'm going to say, I'm going to give the top 3 guys that fish this trail 40, 10, and 5 or something. So I got to come up with $5,000 to pay the third place guy, because I've already got first and second. No, but I might factor in that I'm going to pay 80% of the field, keep 20% toward that side to make up that money. And then hopefully, if I have a good turnout, the first or second events, other sponsors will come in and start throwing more money at us. But it's all the work that has to be done to make a trail start, something like that, is going to be 18 months in advance. You got to build relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Sure.
I think if you was to have Hobie's doing a lot of this stuff with their one brand. I mean, I know you guys are involved with New Canoe. I'm in with Feel Free. If you had all of our kayak companies come in together and they worked to sponsor one monstrous trail, can you imagine the kind of money that we could put out there? New Canoe threw up $10,000. Feel Free threw up 10. Native threw up 10. Hobie threw up 10. And there's 40 grand right there. And we held 6 events or 8 events, and you get to throw out one event. Your worst event you get to throw out, or you get to keep your best 5 or something like that. I mean, but there are ways to make that work, but it requires work and somebody behind the scenes.
Sure. And I think too, like when you start introducing, so we all think this should be a community, but the truth of the matter is, companies are going to look at it like, well, and I can't speak for all of them, but I mean, from a business standpoint, I would imagine they're going to be like, well, I don't really want to share the spotlight with everybody. Maybe at one big giant event, but usually they're going to want to be like the title sponsor of that tournament. And I think it's totally doable. if you have a big enough platform and stage to where you could go, okay, this is New Canoes, New Canoe is going to be your title sponsor for this tournament. And then you've got, Feel Free at this one. And then you got Jackson at this one. And, like everybody, like all the big dogs are there. That will take a lot. And you really got to have some pull, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a lot to bring all of them to the table because, I mean, companies like Yak Gadget are interchangeable, with a lot of the tournaments. But I mean, like, when you bring these kayak companies, I mean, that's definitely like a title sponsor, and it's those are the big dogs. They're going to want that spotlight for sure.
Right.
But you got to have they got to have a reason to come though.
Well, they, from a business standpoint, I think a lot of these companies, like John mentioned, are they going to give me product or are they going to give me cash? And when you enter that cash realm, what they're looking at is what's my ROI, return on investment.
Exactly.
Am I going to get my money back out of
Yes,
this?
Sir.
And that's the thing too, like coming from our side and running our trail this year, some companies are more privy to give you cash versus product, because you see a lot of times, like especially when it's a boat giveaway, right? Like first place gets a boat. A lot of times those guys are in their boat, they like it, and they turn around and they flip that boat. They sell it right away.
I've had that happen.
Yeah,
so many times. Yeah,
and it's I think we've been pretty fortunate because we gave away 3 boats so far this year, and I believe each one of them still has them.
Yep.
And those guys were excited because they're like, "This is what I wanted. I'm going to use this for this," and whatever. So I mean, we were pretty fortunate on that end, but you like, for instance, Drew Gregory won Hobie AOI last year. Won a Hobie. Obviously, Drew's in with Crescent. It's probably not going to look too good if he's floating around in a Hobie.
Well,
so he turned around and sold it, which totally get it. Like,
yeah, but at the same, you see, that was the thing though. He's hemorrhaging kayaks too, right? And yeah, he's hooked up with Crescent, of course. But see, and this is where I think kayak companies go wrong. Even when, Drew is technically, in my opinion, a pro fisherman.
Sure, absolutely,
right. So his situation may be a little different, but I remember when we were on Jackson, we were not pros, of course, like not in the professional sense, but they had no problem with you being in another boat because, so you take a guy like Drew, right? He's a river guy.
Mm-hmm.
A Hobie is not a river kayak. I mean, if you're in a deep enough river, sure, that might work, but the kind of fishing that Drew does, it just doesn't work. So for him, he's, probably not going to keep it. I can't talk to that, specifically. Maybe with like an angler pro, he ain't going to keep.
Sure,
but maybe he'll keep, like a compass or something. Because he's a smaller dude too, and that works. But I mean, no, I mean really
smaller dude.
Well, because I can't do a compass, I'll tip that thing. But no, I mean, but my point is that that kind of fits the fishing. But I mean, it really just depends on what your contract is. And I think that kayak companies kind of got to cool it as long as you're not promoting the kayak. Because we used to make this joke too, because I used to always, people used to always give me crap because they wanted me to be in a Hobie when I was on Jackson. Yeah. And I just didn't want to be in a Hobie because I didn't want to like it. I was like, I know they're awesome. I was like, I don't want to be in it. It's like, and then as soon as I got in one, what happens? Like Butters is trying to get a picture of me, and I'm just like, come on, man. He's like, I'll post this, everyone's joking around, but you try to be, I guess, loyal to your brands, but you should be allowed to do whatever you want.
Yeah. And I totally agree with that. And especially from our standpoint, we've always tried to be open-minded about different brands because of the podcast here.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
there's a danger in being owned.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, we love New Canoe, but New Canoe knows that we're going to be in other boats too. Sure. Well, at least I'm not owned. This guy. No, I'm just kidding. No, hey. I mean, but they're really cool. That's the thing. It's in every, you don't take a truck to race, all the race cars, right? You bring a different kind of, a different kind of car. So that should apply to kayaks too. Right.
So I know we kind of got off subject there. No, it's good. It's all good conversation.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Definitely. this is why we're going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's the thing. Like, I'll ask this question, and if you're listening later on the podcast, if you're tuned in now or you're tuning in later, what I want to know, I'm curious, if somebody stepped up and they're like, we're going to have a professional trail or a professional kayak tour, what should that entry fee be? 500, 1,000, 1,500, $5,000 an event? I mean, like, I think when you get into those bigger numbers, right, you're going to have the bigger payouts, which is going to bring the bigger spotlight. Like, for instance, and this is where I'm coming from, you look at the KBF National Championship, the Hobie TOC, the Bassmaster Championship. Those 3 events every year have the biggest following because they have the biggest payouts, you know? So when you got that kind of money in play, a lot of eyes focus on that. You know what I mean? So I'm just curious. I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on that, you know?
And this is just basically at a high level.
Yeah, high level. It's not going to be for everybody.
It's just that. No. What I mean is, like, it's really just that question. Like, you don't have to factor in all the other stuff that we know you're going to think about.
And then not only that, but like, let's take it to another level, John. Like, your thoughts. How would you qualify guys that would be eligible to fish that event? You're going to leave it open to everybody, the first event? Because, like, that's what, when KBF was trying to do their pro tour, you know, it was open to anybody that wanted to fish it. And then they were going to say, all right, after year 1, it'll only be allowed to anybody that fished it the year before, or I think it was like the top 100 in AOI or something like that. And then that obviously went away. It's
like you're developing your, like, elite series.
Yeah.
You're trying to just, like, because I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? You can't just go, well, Brian catches a lot of fish. He paid the entry fee, so he's going to be an elite. That's like, you still got to, like, prove yourself, I guess, through it too, right? I mean, you'd have to have some standard to, like, move on to the next. Go ahead. Sorry, Rapp.
No, man, you're right, and both of you are right. Here's what I did last year with the West Virginia kayak anglers, and it's being done again this year. We have your regular club events, right? Now, we also had what we called a gold event. And the gold event was the event where our entry fee was $125. We only allowed 25 people into it, and the first place check was $2,000. What we did, we didn't announce the waters until 48 hours in advance, so people couldn't go pre-fish. And you had to pay in advance. Yeah. You had to pay in advance before we announced the tournament. So I had 25 guys, and the way they qualified was the first 3 were granted, like, gifted in, and that was your angler of the year before, your rookie of the year, and your female of the year. Those 3 were automatic qualifiers. The other top 22 had to be the top 22 after the first 3 events. Okay. So of that club. And then after that, let's say number 10, number 15, 18, 19, and 20 said, hey, I'm out of town. I'm on vacation. I can't go. Those spots would roll down until I filled 25 slots.
So to your alternates.
Yes.
Right. Just like in the Olympics or anything else.
Exactly. So, and then we filled the 25 slots. We had an event. We paid the top 3 out. It was a $2,000, $1,000, and $500 payout for a $125 entry fee. And I had Subway provide food. They provided food at no cost. Nice. I mean, they kept their checks.
Started working at Subway.
Oh, she's a sandwich artist.
Yeah, sandwich artist. Yeah.
Sammy the sandwich artist.
Yeah, Sammy the sandwich artist.
I like an oven chicken with lettuce, tomato, and bacon.
We'll send that some dry ice to you. Don't worry.
Did you want that toasted?
Yeah, it's only got to go over a couple states. We're good.
Personally delivered by you, Jay.
There you go.
Well, you brought up an interesting point there, and that was something that was brought up in last show was
Pre-fishing.
limiting pre-fishing, and I totally love that aspect. You know,
Well, Brian, here it was down here. Okay, what we did was in the beginning of the year, we took 10 bodies of water and we put them in a hat, and we told those guys, okay, here's the 10 bodies of water that's going to be in the hat. You all have fished our trail for the last 4 years, and we've been on those bodies of water at least once or twice in that time, or you've been on them during your online challenge tournaments or with another club. We got 3 clubs in West Virginia, so there's plenty of opportunity to fish those waters. So we were like, okay, there's no pre-fishing, and we're going to pick one of these out of the hat 48 hours in advance. We'll see you there that morning, because they've already paid, so all I have to do is go to the bank and get the money. So, and then go ahead.
I was like, that's really cool. I mean, and I think that works locally. Now I'm wondering, because I'm sure, I mean, I don't know, the wheels just started turning. Like nationally, you could pull this off, but you would probably get a lot of flack from it, because you probably got to keep it regionally close to do something like that. But that would be so interesting to bring that element where you kind of do like, you know, like do like a live drawing. Let's say, I mean, I don't know if you could do 48, but let's just say for the sake of the conversation, 48 hours where people
you'd have to do it before that because of travel time.
No, I know that. I'm just saying 48 hours is probably at least a week, right?
Yeah.
And but I mean, there's certain things you could probably put in place where you could still kind of prevent pre-fishing, but I think that would be huge. Like imagine being able to do, you know, like doing like one of those rolling things, and then being like, boom.
If you go back, like, you guys go back and look at our video when we did that last June. I put the 10 on a rolling wheel because I was using I was streaming that stuff when I did that with broadcaster, and
but I think like nationally with pros that would work. Yeah, because those people are willing to travel.
What we did, where I gave them 48 hours notice. I gave them a 48 hours notice. So the guys, when we picked that night at 9 p.m., they were packed. They had their trucks packed. So they could drive up that night, wherever the lake was, and pre-fish the next day. So they got 1 day of pre-fishing.
Sure.
Not like the Ron Champions and all those other people out there that can go pre-fish for a week at a time.
Yeah.
So they only got 1 day to go hit the bank, go check the water collar, see if the water's high or low, how the rain's affected it, things of that nature, and go at it. So.
Well, I think nationally, like again, it would probably be regionally where this would be successful, because I think nationally it would be really difficult. Of course, the hub is pretty much here.
Well, I don't think it's like, super difficult. I think what you do, like if we're talking theoretically, we're throwing ideas.
Yeah,
we're throwing shit at the wall right now.
Yeah. Like I'm writing this down. This is happening. Paddle and fin. You heard it here.
So I mean, the way it could work is the Friday before the event, and a couple people chimed in. They're saying at least $1,000 to $1,200, $1,000 to $1,500, right? The Friday before you spin your magic wheel, you get your body of water. I would imagine for that price, you do a 2 or 3 day tournament, right? So that would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You're probably right, because that brings in that aspect where you're measured on the 3 day.
So so you release your location the Friday before, the Friday event, and you can't start pre-fishing until Monday or Tuesday. So now those guys have 3 or 4 days to travel.
Well, and the other thing is let's say you guys decide to do that for next year. You could have 3 lakes that are within 150-mile radius of each other, right? And hey, bud, but what you do is do exactly the way you said it, and you spin the wheel. But logistics for us guys that hold the tournament, you need to talk to all 3 of those places in advance and say, hey, I'm getting ready to bring in some big money, but I don't know if you're going to win or not. But here's what we're going to do. If you are selected, I need a shelter or a room or something to do everything. And all of them work. Yeah.
Logistically, that makes it really difficult.
It sure does.
Yeah, it does. And that's why you need to have something that's got a state park or something where you can take up a shelter somewhere.
Well, not only that, you gotta think of permits, right? You gotta like fish water where you don't have to worry about permits, where you can just gather.
Yeah.
Given what's going on now. And then
here's what you do to do that. Okay. In West Virginia, when I worked with our DNR, I would get permits, but when I got them, I would get them as a statewide permit. So I could fish any water in the state on that certain day. So when you go to Tennessee, Ohio, or whatever for that one day, ask for a permit on your gold day for those waters to cover. It covers. It's a blanket coverage.
Well, I don't know I don't know enough about this. I think Susie would probably know more, but I don't know if every state does that, because you know, when you get to the state level, and every park is a little different, every waterway is a little different. I mean, with rivers, I think you're golden across the board. Nobody can really manage that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, definitely with lakes, what we've noticed is that some don't require permits, some do. And like these days are limiting the amount of people too. So you got to be careful and all that stuff. But that's totally doable. And I was even thinking, even to the aspect of, okay, you got people traveling and you don't know if they're, if they're going to be camping or if they're hotel people, but you would probably have to team up with some local hotels.
Yeah.
Of course, this comes from having some clout at one point, right? Where you've got like a pretty good following, and you basically can command this. But you hook up with the hotel and you're like, hey, I got some anglers that might be coming in here, and then can run kind of some special, tell everybody about it. Or you got a campground that that you'll be at or not be at, but it'll have something kind of set up where, hey, they're kind of expecting you guys to come in, and that way it eases. So for the short notice, it would ease like the pain of finding a place to stay, because you're either camping or you're in a hotel.
Sure.
I mean, for the most part, some guys are, and some guys and gals are willing to sleep in their trucks. I ain't these days. Like, it's my bed's not long enough, and I don't feel like hanging out and get bit by bugs all night. But I mean, but that's the thing. Yeah, totally. But I mean, but that would help too. I think if you were gonna like run something like that, it's super unique though, because no one's doing that. And that would take some infrastructure for sure. But man, you got to be ready for anything that rolls down the hill on that one.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you keep it simple. You keep it, try to keep it to 3 lakes and get a statewide permit. And if you keep it in a central area, because you guys are hitting those areas up on the Ohio River chain up in that area, your area. I mean, you could do it, Indiana, Ohio, if you keep it in the area where your people roll, and you get the money in advance, so you're already telling I know 35 people will be here, or whatever number you're doing it, because this is one of those mystery fishing tournaments where they have a week's notice. I'm letting them know on Sunday morning where they're going to have to fish out on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And
we call it the Secret Squirrel Tournament Series. I love it. It's so dumb, but I love saying that.
I think it's an interesting concept. I think in reality, like, you probably get a lot, like, if you're trying to do this on a pro level, a lot of guys are gonna fuss about it, but do compared to having scheduled events. They know where they're going, they can plan ahead, things like that.
It would have to be one of those big
I think
money.
when you throw people in the mixer,
they
get in a tizzy and they're like, screw this.
Well, but why can't you have, again, this is going to take, it's got to start somewhere, of course, but why can't you just have like a 3 or 4 lake tournament series specifically for the elites, and tell them up front, this is the way it's going to go. And then how about this? You give them, you could probably give them like, okay, there's 10 lakes and you're only going to be fishing 4 of them.
Sure.
right? So they at
I could
least
see that,
know
yeah.
what they're going to be facing, and then you have there's a good enough chance where they won't be prepared for it. They may have a background in it, it might be in their backyard, you don't know, but at least then they're like, all right, well, at least I know what the 10 lakes are, and now we can move forward. And again, to John's point, you don't get too extravagant on it, but you make it so elite and make the payouts like so monstrous that they want to come fishing.
Sure.
You know, and I mean, and I'm sure we got to throw a little more at it than that, but you know, and that's where your sponsors come in, you know, I mean, because it's not always just what people pay in. I mean, the sponsors, like, if they want to like be a part of it too, and all the kayak anglers are watching this stuff, especially the tournament guys. You know, and I know the kayak anglers are just chomping at the bit to like see like MLF type series, you know, setups, kind of like what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Like to where it's more, you know, it's continuous and like you're on the boaters and whatever. I mean, but there's like, you're getting to see your people, you know, and, you know, hitting hard. And then the sponsors are gonna be like, you know, they got to come to play, you know, and they got to pay to play, you know, but it's going to good, you know, it's going to everybody that's participating and the functionality of the sport.
In all aspects of everything, every sport and every business, you got to spend money to make money.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we've noticed that there are some companies that are like definitely willing to do that. And it's, you know, kudos to them because, you know, there's still a lot of uncertainty with some of these companies. And it's like, I can just tell these companies now, because I mean, I'm thinking that there's some of you guys that are out there listening that take the chance. Like the kayak community is definitely worth it. There's a lot more coming, and you might be one of the ones at the front, you know, at the front leading the charge once this stuff really hits hard and hits big.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is reach out to you, me, or Brian, and we can give them guidance. You know, that's one of the things that I think where Bass could use a little bit more helping hand. They need to, and I know you guys, we talked about it on your show, or you guys talked about it with Drew, but you know, listen to Dwayne Wally, Bass Nation. Dwayne Wally is not going to steer you wrong, and if he says it'll work, run with it. If it, you know, but anyway,
and I think that was a big touching point last week when we were talking about the major kayak trails. You know, like Dwayne's hands are tied. You know, he's doing everything he can, and kudos to him. You know, but Bass is a separate entity, and they're going to take what they want from what he tells them, and they're going to pick through it and utilize certain things, and other things are going to kick to the wayside. You know, so I mean, it's not Dwayne's fault. It's not the angler's fault. You know, so you know, I think that was a big misconception. You know, because you know, Captain Papi Chulo Armando Salah had his panties in a bunch. But
well, I think the thing is too is that, like, you know, we preach community because that's the kayak world, right? At the end of the day, you know, Bass is an entity, a company, and they need to make money. I'm not going to deny that, you know, or support that, but you know, there has to be. I think you have to be willing to let some companies ride your coattails to meet you up there, especially if they're not in direct competition with you. So you can carry the sport. And allow these companies to partner with you and push them forward.
Well, I think you're seeing that, right? Because you still got KBF. You got Hobie came on the scene. And there was a lot of talk. All right, there's going to be competition between the two. And then now Bass is in the mix, so that changes it up. And I think that was one thing that we touched on too last week and the week before was, you know, guys can fish any three of these, or they can fish all three. You know what I mean? Like now you have those choices. You know, I remember when that was in 2019, I think, and I was in a house full of hammers. Up on La Crosse for the KBF Trail Championship. And there was guys like Cody Milton, Josh Stewart, John Lessman. I could go on and on. Doesn't matter. And I think that's when Bass was just getting announced, plus Hobie was out there. And I asked those guys, I said, do you feel like it's going to be too much to where participation in those events all go down? All of them didn't really have much to say, because I think they were just looking at, this is more opportunity for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't think, I mean, if you look at the numbers, all three trails are doing great.
Yeah.
If anything, maybe some of the KBF events have a little less turnout, but I think that was before, when those guys weren't all communicating and trying to work together where their schedules didn't overlap.
I was just going to bring that up, because that, I think that is super, because we did the same thing, right?
Yeah.
We were very conscious of when the other tournaments were going on. And that's where, I mean, again, if you're like the big dog, you're probably going to do whatever you want anyway.
Sure.
But everyone else is looking at those dates, for one, to ensure better turnout for your own tournaments, because we've been burned by that. I mean,
right.
It's even something close enough to it. But at the same time, that's like one of probably the best ways that you can partner. Like if you have like, a meeting of like the heads of state in the beginning of the year, or like, before the year, and be like, all right, Hobie's over here, KBF's over here, maybe one day Paddle and Fin's over here. But I mean, just like have everybody that's running some pretty big tournaments, but let's just say for the national, side of things, they all get together and go, okay, we're going to run these, these tournaments these days. How does that work for everybody? Yeah. And then everybody works together, not to impede, because I think that's super important too. But then you're also going to run into tier issues.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've got like elites, you've got like, your intermediaries, and then you've got like your novice, entry level, like single A type anglers like coming in. So that will complicate things a bit, but I do think that if everybody kind of pays attention to that, you're going to get a better turnout in general, to where you don't like, ultimately we're not all going to win. I mean, in terms of, the amount of anglers, because there's going to be a lot of things taken into that, especially for the amount of money we're talking about. But at that level, I really think that's going to be a huge thing for these guys to do, is pay attention to the other tournament series that are out there, work with them, because in the end, it's going to help everybody in the long run. And then also, like, there's probably some intertwining that can happen, that, there's probably some more incentives that you can do to cross over.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. There's no script to this. There's no rules, so we can do whatever.
So what they need to do is take a page out of the state club scenes. And that's where the state clubs will work together, and the three in West Virginia, the three guys got together and they set up their trails where they didn't overlap on each other. And then they hold one event or two events during the year together as one event.
That's cool.
They got a July 24th.
Yeah.
On July 24th, they have a mountain mission tournament. That's all the proceeds are going to a charity, and the charities, the prizes are being provided to the winners, not cash.
Nice.
So it's a lot like the JT tournament, but it's
sure.
A local tournament here for mountain missions. So, but touching on what you all were talking about with my thoughts are, if you have guys now that are traveling out of state to fish a Hobie, to fish KBF, a paddle a fin, or bass, then those guys, in my opinion, they're already at a semi-pro level, because they're packing up, they're spending $1,000 to go put gas, buy baits, eat out, and pay those tournament fees, stay at a hotel, and then go home. I mean, they're in it to win.
Sure.
Or they're in it to promote their brands, because you can't go to somewhere else and not promote or be seen as an ambassador for what you're there for.
Yeah, you're gonna be like one of the NASCAR guys when they interview. You're gonna be like, "Yeah, I was in the Napa 34 over there, and yeah, I mean, did great, you know. And I was just coming up on my Cooper tires, you know."
Well, I mean, look at how the pros, man. Look at all the pros that do their tournaments now. Even when they don't win, they're there with their video boaters, and they're making videos, and they're talking about being there.
Yeah,
sure.
And they're talking about their products while they were there. And, you know, I mean, so I think, you know, there's more to it than just that, winning. You know, you're there to do other things.
And that was one of my points I brought up last week too. And Jason Favor dropped this comment a little bit ago. He said, "I think it's simply someone is making a living doing it." When we were talking about what it takes to be a professional angler these days, it honestly seems that is more someone who not only is a hammer, but can also secure sponsorships and maintain social media appearances.
I agree.
Which is 100% correct.
There's only a few people that can do it too.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like, who the hell was it I was watching today? Somebody on YouTube that I follow. Steve-O from Jackass. He's got a podcast. I watch Steve-O's podcast.
Oh God.
And his podcast is really good.
No, I thought you were like, oh no, go ahead. I'm not getting even. It is. I like Steve-O.
What is your problem?
No, because I think you're like, because he has this one where he pushes the bidet. It's so bad.
For his ad? Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
I totally agree.
It sounds wonderful, but go ahead.
Besides the point. I forget who the guest was he was talking to, and you know, they were talking. Oh, it was Chanel West Coast.
Oh, God.
For those of you that don't know, it's
ridiculousness.
She's on ridiculousness, whatever. However, you know, Steve-O was talking to her about, you know, what do you get paid for making your music? What do you get paid for social media? What do you get paid for this? What do you get paid for that? And it was really interesting because, and they touched on it, you know, a lot of brands, you know, when I'm saying brands and I'm referring to this, I'm talking about like Colgate toothpaste, you know, Tide laundry detergent, things like that, like those bigger sponsors. They're not spending the type of money they used to on ad space on TV and things like that. They're giving it to social media influencers because they know they have a better reach, right?
That's exactly right.
So that's, you know, like when I was talking about that last week, that plays such a huge role. Like, I know me personally, and I'm not going to go into details, but some of the things that I've worked out, you know, because of, like, I consider the podcast part of social media. That's like a new form of social media. Everybody's got a freaking podcast now.
Yep.
But there's only one OG.
That's right.
Yep.
But you know, because of the podcast, my Instagram following, my Facebook, you know, things like that. Like, you know, you get offered certain deals, and that's stuff that would normally go dedicated towards that type of like TV or magazine ad space. Nowadays, you don't have magazines. It's all digital, right? And things like that. So now that money that these companies used to spend is freed up for things. So if you're a guy that's, you know, grinding it out on the social medias, the YouTubes, things like that, you know, that opens the opportunity when you go to approach companies to get to that point of fishing on a professional level. Obviously, you got to fish, but to Jason's point, and I totally agree with, I mean, he said you kind of have to be a hammer. At the same time, there's a lot of guys out there that haven't won tournaments, but they're crushing it on that end, and they're getting big deals. No offense to Mike McKinstry. He's not going out there smashing giants all the time. No. However, dude's got a TV show, constantly posting to social medias, things like that. That's that dude's life. He doesn't, you know, he's not out there grinding it on the tournaments. And that's just one example. Yeah. But I do get this question all the time, and let me pose this to both of you guys. I'll have somebody reach out to me, which is weird, but they will they'll ask, hey man, I want to get more involved in the fishing industry. I want to make it in the fishing industry. What do I got to do that? And the one thing, and I brought this up last time, is the more heavily involved you get into the fishing industry, the less you actually fish.
Exactly.
And I think that's a big misconception in the fishing world, is guys are like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to be on my boat every day, just slamming bass left and right, boat flipping, bro, this and that. That's not the case.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Man, I love Greg Kupfner, man. My boy Greg Kupfner took over the West Virginia Kayak Anglers this year because I ran it the last 4 years. I've had so much fun to be able to go hang out with you guys and not have to be working on sponsorships and doing promotions for the events. And I've been out on the water more this year too and fished. And you're right. You've nailed that on the head, Brian, because when you're out here working behind the scenes to get things done so other people can go to an event, fish, have fun, get a prize, win money, it can be a thankless job. And, I mean, really, and more times than another, you're going to catch more complaints than you get the thank you. And
Sure.
but I'm telling you, anyway, yeah, Greg Kupfner, you're the man.
No, well, and then I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of going out and recording fishing because if you really want to like make a video, there's all this prep that's going to go into it. I mean, you got to bring batteries, you got to bring cameras, you got to have angles, you got to be.
You're the cameraman, bro.
I know. If you want to, if you shut up, if you want to, like, you know, thank God you can catch fish in like one spot. But I mean,
catch them anywhere.
But if you want to, like, you know, catch or, you know, get catching fish on video or anything of that matter, like, there's time that goes into that, and sometimes it's a lot of not wasted time, but it's, you know, you just don't get it, and it just, I mean,
well, yeah,
it can be real arduous. Just that's that prep.
That's what, you know, these fishing shows paint that fantasy picture, like, you know, Bill Dance going out on his boat and he just nails like 10 or 5 pounders in a row. But what you don't know is it took a week to get all that footage.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, and we're working on the small scale, right? I mean, we got good DSLRs and whatever, dude.
Too much,
you know, but I mean, but then you got like Drew when he was doing Hooked on Wild Waters, and you had like the cameras,
full production crews,
dude.
And stuff
like I mean, there's like 10,000, 12,000, and Mikey does it too. McKinstry, I mean, monstrous like cameras, like you've just never seen these, and these guys are on the water and they're just just waiting for you to catch fish.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, and you got to be in the right position too to get, and the lighting's got to be perfect.
Sure.
And, you know, it's like, so there's so much that goes into it, but when you do that, you know, you put that on the internet and then everybody can see it, and you can constantly are spitting those out, you know, like Gene Jensen, right? He's still pretty much a powerhouse with YouTube. You know, he's still spitting out, maybe not to the degree he was. I mean, because I'm sure that's pretty daunting.
He's still pumping out quite a bit of content.
I mean, but he's still relevant, and he's still doing, but he's, you know, and I'm sure he's getting, you know, he's in bed with some companies, I'm sure too, and he's getting money for that. And
sure.
But he's doing exactly that, right? I mean, and he's more of not your pro fisherman, you know, he's more of your entertaining, educational.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he fishes some tournaments, and he does really well.
Oh yeah, and Gene's a good dude. You know, I know I've been lucky enough to meet him. But
we did a podcast with him, bro.
I know, but I also I fished with him
before he was in the kayak scene, man. He's I would always put him as a social influencer first.
Sure.
He was the powerhouse, I think, for the most part.
Well, and that's just it, right? Like we touched on that last week. You know, you look at I know Jason Favor brought up Gerald Swindle as a perfect example.
Yeah. He's like the perfect package.
Yeah. And you know what he does media wise for his sponsors and things like that. Like he's not always out fishing.
No.
And like you said, if
He's
you're out there
funny.
trying to, do promotional stuff, it's not all fishing,
Mhm.
and it could be a grind to get that, shot or whatever you need.
Oh, sure.
Our man Richard down at Eastport says, my cost to sponsor the Dale Hollow tournament was pretty expensive for the turnout. I'm still committed to try next year.
Hell
And
yeah.
that's just it. Like we need people like that in the sport. And Richard's
Definitely.
got a beautiful view on that. And he
Mhm.
gets it. You
He
know
does.
what I mean?
He does.
Which, that's going down.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely.
At
Richard
the
is the
Dale
man.
of Hollows again.
The Dale Hollow
Nice.
at the barn. They got 4th of July fireworks at the barn this
They
week.
do.
I saw.
That's
That's
right.
right.
I saw the post today,
And,
man.
and
I got
everybody
all
at the
excited.
campgrounds, don't be setting off no fireworks.
That's
Yeah,
right.
at the cabins.
Can't be doing that.
Yeah, we'll come
No.
get you.
That's right.
Windy-
and bring
Windy-
some towels.
The real boss, Wendy, will come and track
Yeah.
you down.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you better watch out, boys and girls. Yeah. See, I remember Wendy.
Yeah, that's the boss.
Yeah, she's the real boss. So, but Jacob Jenkins says I'll be there this year.
Awesome.
Can't wait to see you. Heck yeah, man. But yeah, a lot of interesting conversation, man. We're over an hour, and I'm sure we could go another 2 hours.
No
but
doubt.
we don't want to keep you, John. We'll have to do this again, man.
Yeah, love it. man.
I think we've had a lot of great response these past couple of weeks diving into this stuff. I
Mhm.
know we kind of stepped back from that, and some of our other guys on the other segments here on Paddle and Fin were focusing on that stuff. So I think we're diving back into it. We got a lot of interesting, cool new stuff coming to Paddle and Fin.
Yes, sir. Right.
So buckle up, boys and
Yeah,
girls.
we got
Buckle
some
up.
spectacular stuff. You ain't seen this coming.
Yeah, nobody's gonna
Like,
see this.
well, I remember
coming.
when I got the phone call, I was like, "Wait, what?" Like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you messing with me, man?" Like,
Awesome.
I was like, "I'm like, it's like 9:00 at night, dude. Are you telling me the truth?"
I was telling you the truth. So
Awesome, guys.
yeah, we got some exciting stuff coming up over the next 2 weeks. Yeah.
I think it's-
Within
you
the
said a
next
couple
2
weeks
weeks.
or so,
Within
yeah.
the next 2 weeks.
Well, I look forward to hearing about
Really,
it at ICAST.
really cool stuff. And then not only that, we got even more cool stuff coming after that. Richard said, Wendy's said, we're sucking up now. Well, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, yes, we
I
are.
got thrown under the
That's
bus
right.
last time because I didn't mention the big boss. So
Yeah.
I'm making sure I mention the big
I'm
boss.
just gonna say Eastport Marina is my favorite marina on the Dale Hollow Reservoir.
Well, duh.
I mean, go there if you can. They've got great cabins. They've got great food there at the Obey Grill.
Dude, I miss our girlfriends at the Old Bay River Grill, man. They always take
Hey,
care of us.
That,
And you can always sleep in one of those house cabins too, baby.
The houseboats,
Dude.
yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you know what?
Dude,
That's
houseboats.
amazing. I actually
Yeah.
prefer that.
It was a
Yeah.
close experience.
That was really nice.
That was super nice until
Yeah.
I got a phone call because JP went down the water
I
side.
know,
We
yeah,
won't
that's
go there.
hilarious. I
We
was
won't
like,
go there.
oh, Dad's on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, oh wait, isn't that when you chickened out too?
Yeah,
You
that
didn't
was.
wanna do
That
it?
was.
Okay.
I did chicken out. I'll be the first to admit that water was cold.
That was so funny.
That was an awesome video.
Yeah. Super fun, man. John, plug your podcast again, man. Where people can follow you and all that good stuff before we wrap this thing up, man.
Well, buddy, I have struggled to come up with any type of headline name, so it's just
dude.
still
Oh, really?
it's still just underneath
I
my
can help you
personal
with
page,
that.
man.
Dude.
Well,
Big
fix me up.
Daddy Kayak Fishing Podcast.
You know
No,
what? That works.
It does. It does.
2 more, Big Daddy. You know.
You know what? We can share the spotlight. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like you're like, I guess you're the OG Big Daddy.
Yeah. You were what, number 80 signing up on Tourney X when that came out?
88, yeah,
Yeah.
88.
No,
I've
wait,
been around.
Dude, you're as old as
Dude.
dirt, bro.
the Lawless podcast, the Lawless Fishing.
No. What did
Come on.
What did John Graves call him?
I don't remember.
Federale, the Federale podcast.
There you go, dude. I'm telling you should swing
Yeah.
that cop stuff in there, man. I think it'll be great. I like the
Hey.
Lawless edge. I'm just
Man.
saying.
the whole reason I got into kayak fishing is to let that 20-some years of my life go. You know,
there you go.
You guys are trying to bring it back.
Yeah, I'm just saying there. I got some ideas where people will make you think the other thing.
Yeah, but I appreciate you guys having me on, and every Tuesday night I try to do it about 6:30. Get my Chris Payne lined up from Texas.
Yeah.
Either one of you guys come on and talk about what's going on in your neck of the woods. Then I've got normally one or two of my guys from West Virginia on, talk about their techniques and what they're doing. Yeah. It's about a 45-minute to an hour run, depending on our topics and what we're doing. But it expands all the time, man, you know, because I've picked up some things that you guys have taught me on how to do the group chat. And I just appreciate it. And you know, and my goal in the near future is to be part of your network one day with that little Paddle and Fin Network podcast thing. And someday I'll be able to.
No,
it's up to the right. That little logo up there on the right. It's on the right of the
Talking
screen.
About the logo right there on the top right.
I'm messing with you, man.
But no, man. One day I'll be a part of your network, and then I'll be good to go. But right now,
we'll have to talk to the board about that.
Yeah,
okay.
I got to cut my chops. Got to cut my chops first. So anyway,
you're doing fine, man.
I know a guy.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
No, here's the thing, man. Your intros are great. Like, you're doing great with that. I mean, again, I was like, oh darn, why didn't we do something like that? You know, so you're out the box. You're doing good with that. You're like, and you're gonna find your voice and your cadence, and don't be afraid to talk, man. I mean, like, you're doing it here. I mean, you say you want to take a step back. I mean, it's your podcast, man. You got to run it. So do it like you want to, man. Be a wild man, you know, be an educated man, whatever you want, you know, whatever works for you, just roll with it. You know, it's good easy to coming on there.
Yeah. It's easy to come on your show and get a little crazy, you know?
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of my boys are like, you know, they're trying to get them on there. I had 7 or 8 guys watching there a little bit ago, but it's fun, you know, and that's it. The thing I like about your show and what I want to emulate from it is keeping it real, but keeping it fun. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's super important, right? Because we'll never boast about anything because we're regular guys. And I always tell the joke, like, I'm a heck, because I am. You know, it's like, I ain't nothing special. You know, I just, you know, I don't know. I got a good friend here, and then we were able to put together a bunch of other good friends. And
speaking of which, your friendship payment is due.
Yeah, well, that's funny. That's funny. I got yours right under the desk right here.
Oh God! All right. On that note,
just so we're clear,
on the screen, if you guys want to check out Eastport Marina, you can go to their website, eastport.info. I'll also drop that in the show notes for the podcast for those of you that are tuning in on the old Rodidio. That's radio. Huge shout out to Richard. If you guys are looking to go visit World-Class Fishery, Dale Hollow, definitely give them
it's a beautiful location.
Yeah,
sure is.
Absolutely.
Been there twice this year, and I'm going back.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to going back. A lot of exciting stuff in the works, boys and girls. Get ready, buckle up, strap in. We will.
ICAST. Don't forget about ICAST. There's going to be a lot of good stuff.
Yep, like we talked about at the beginning. I will be down at ICAST along with Dustin Nichols from the Paddle and Fin podcast, and we'll be bringing you some live shows from down there, live video. You know, there's going to be a lot of familiar faces from the kayak industry down there. So you may see Mr. John pop in on a show, Drew Gregory, you know, obviously Dustin, some of the other folks around the industry.
Yes, I will be there as well. If you guys are, if people are cruising around down there, I will be set up with the guys at Feel Free, and I'll have my laptop up. Hopefully I can, that's something I'll catch with you guys after the show, but got to figure out how in the hell we're going to stream down there unless unless you have a hotspot, because I know there's no damn internet in there.
I bet you there is.
There's Wi-Fi.
They got Wi-Fi there.
There's Wi-Fi.
Okay.
They may make you pay for it, but I'm not sure. It
There's
depends.
Wi-Fi.
Well, I know. I know the Wi-Fi down there in the past has been not very good. So I guess if you have to get a private server or something, but yeah, okay,
We'll get you set up, Big Daddy. Hang tight.
Definitely.
Next event, July 31st. Oh, that weekend of ICAST, myself, Brad Hurlboss, possibly Mr. Randall over here. We will be up at Bowfest in Minneapolis. That's a big archery show.
Yes, sir.
Kayak hunting is becoming a really big thing. So we'll be up there with New Canoe. We'll have some live shows coming that weekend too, from up there. So a lot of cool, fun stuff coming. Next trail event, July 31st here on the Fox River in Illinois. And then August 28th, we're in Toledo, Ohio for Lake Erie and the Maumee River. What am I forgetting?
Jay Randall's awesome.
Yeah, definitely wasn't forgetting that. John Rapp, thank you as always, my friend. To all you boys and girls out there in the good old interwebs, as always, tight lines.
Tight lines, guys.
Peace.
Peace.